Hi, it's Geoff Chalmers here from Discover Double Bass. I've got another video lesson for you today. If you haven't already checked out the website, you might want to go and have a look after this lesson. There's loads of free video double bass lessons, and if you subscribe, there's even more exclusive free content. So today we're going further with our right hand technique, and we're going to be looking at a few exercises that can help you really bring into focus what we've been looking at in the previous beginner lesson. So we're going to have a look at working with the metronome a bit to develop your timing, and then we're going to help crossing over strings by having a look at some string crossing exercises. Finally, we'll put it all together in introducing some left hand muting. The first exercise that we're going to look at, we're going to use the metronome and really help work on our time. So we're going to set the metronome to 80 beats per minute. And I'd like you to play just one note per beat. And then two. Go back to one. And now when you're playing this, try and imagine what two's like. One and two, and then play it. Three, two, four, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1. So I went round the houses a little bit there, but ultimately I was dividing between just one note per beat, and then we had two, and then we had three, and we had four. The hardest thing to do is to work between 2 and 3 and 3 and 4 for me. And in fact, with one of them, I went slightly out of focus when I changed to the different division. What I'd recommend that you do is work out what you find hardest and really focus in on that. If you were a drummer, all you'd be doing all of the time, almost all of the time, is dividing up between groups of 2, 3 and 4. That's the majority of your rhythmical palette that you're working from. And if yours were a little bit shaky, you'd really hear that on the drums. And as bass players, we need to be just as accurate. So really make sure that you can switch between those meters without any problems. The next thing I'm going to show you is to do with string crossing. I find a lot of players are playing things on the bass and they trip up and they stumble. And partly I think it's because they haven't isolated the right hand like I previously mentioned, and particularly that they haven't looked at string crossing. It's not a particularly exciting part of bass playing, but it really helps to be able to move across accurately without having to give any thought to what string you're actually on, because you've already practiced and your fingers will go where you need them to go. So maybe even if we just play simple E, A, D, G, and then you can play that with the metronome. I've got it set here at 70 beats per minute. So let's have a listen to what that sounds like. I'm just going to struggle here. I'm just putting the metronome down. So I started off rushing a little bit there, but now I'm just trying to come back, lock in with the metronome. And try, like I did at the end, doing different rhythms over the metronome pulse, or even just moving between different strings. So for instance, E, D, A, G. Perhaps doubling up each note. When I was playing there, I was trying to focus in on having the same dynamic level throughout everything that I was playing to keep everything as even as possible. I think I was a little light on the G string, apart from maybe the final time where I got a bit more meat under my finger. So just make sure that you're trying to keep everything as even as you can, and that will really help improve your overall sound. As we were doing those string crossing exercises then, I was also having to use my left hand for muting purposes. If we cross the strings E, A, D, G, and we're playing back onto the next string, like we previously discussed, we automatically mute the open string that's ringing. So D to G, and the string is muted at the point that I play the next note. But as we come back, everything's ringing at once. So the answer is to use the left hand. It's quite useful to even bring the hands together, perhaps even in your line of vision. So we're playing the G, and at exactly the point that I play the D, I mute the G. Exactly the point that I'm going to play the A, you can see my fingers on it now, I'm going to mute the D string. And the same for the E and the A. So there's only ever one note sounding at a time. Let's just do that again. And you'd be amazed at how many people struggle with this. And all of these little details add up to having an overall improvement in the delivery of your content, of the line that you're trying to play. It makes it more focused and easier to understand to the listeners. So it's really worth spending a bit of time doing these details. Maybe let's have a look at crossing not just in a straight line. So E, D, A, G. And I'm having to just adjust the left hand to make sure that I mute the strings correctly. A little tip, try not to use one finger for the muting, because there's a potential that you could get harmonics. You can hear then the harmonic ringing after. But as soon as you use more than one point, I just use all 4 fingers, then you'll be stopping the string very cleanly. I just want to finish by giving you something that you can apply to both exercises that we've discussed that will make them a bit harder. If you were in an orchestra and you had a massive bass drum and you had a snare drum and you were playing along with the metronome and you were trying to measure and be as accurate as possible that you were striking those notes correctly, it would be easier to hear with the snare drum. It would be ta, ta, ta. You'd hit that note and it'd be really sharp and clean. With the bass drum, there's so much sound, dum, dum, that it would be much harder for you to focus in on what you're doing. And it really helped me when I started doing these exercises. I'll just turn the metronome on with muted strings. Including the string crossing. Then maybe that's getting too quick, so I'll move to 2 fingers. Everything that we've discussed already will be even more effective if you do it with muted strings as well. So I hope that you've enjoyed the lesson today. I'd love to hear from you. If you want to give me any feedback, you can always comment below. And if you're watching on YouTube, you can rate and subscribe as well. If you want more video lessons, then you can head on over to discoverdouble bass.com.